Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Olivia, and I am a writer, and this is kind of the cozy bookish space where I spend like 90% of my time. In my last video, I shared the process of how I turned this room into kind of like my dream office. If you want to watch the whole process of turning this room into what it is now, you can click that video. I'm going to link it somewhere up here. But today's video is going to be kind of more of a home office tour. So I'm going to show you around this entire room, and we're going to look at all the nooks and crannies. I'm going to open up all these drawers. I'm going to give you a whole bookshelf tour of all of my favorite books. I feel like for as long as I can remember, I've always really loved being able to look around people's living spaces and just, it sounds a little weird to say out loud, but what I really just mean is it's cool to be able to see the physical manifestation of all the things that they love most in the world, which is our homes. So kind of in that spirit, I feel like if you and I were friends in real life, then I would just kind of be showing you around my room and show you all these little nooks and crannies, you know, the things I keep in my drawers, show you through my different bookshelves and all the different stories that have meant the most to me, and just kind of give you like kind of a tour of the place where I spend most of my existence. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, give this video a thumbs up. It honestly helps me so much and just kind of helps get this video out to people who might enjoy it. I've done my darndest to link every single thing that is in this video if it can be linked. So if you're wondering where I got something, just check the description box first, and if you don't see it there, just comment down below and I'll do my best to kind of track it down and share a link with you. And then one quick other note is I did just come down sick today, so if my voice sounds a little funny, that's why. We're gonna get through it. It's gonna be great. So without any further ado, cheers, let's jump into this home office tour. Alright friends, so welcome to my writing room slash home office slash YouTube studio room tour. So I'll kind of give you an overview. This is what you see when you first walk into the room. One of the earliest things I added to this room was this curtain rod up here, because since this is just an open archway, I really like the idea of creating some kind of like soft curtain barrier into the room. So when I'm writing or editing or getting any work done, normally I'll just drop these curtains over and it kind of creates this, feels like I can kind of metaphorically close the door and focus on whatever I'm working on. So the curtain rod's from Amazon, and so are these tiebacks down here. And then this pair of lace curtains, these are actually from IKEA, and they're really cheap. I want to say like a pair of them was 10 bucks maybe. I'm pretty sure I've had these curtains in every single room that I've been in since college, so they have served me well. So the whiteboard is kind of the recent addition, and now that it's up, I'm really kicking myself because I centered it between that bend in the wall and then the end of my bookshelves. So it's kind of like off center, and I'm wondering now if I shouldn't have like centered it with the whole room so that I could add some gallery wall around it. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but I'm kind of leaning towards moving it over just a little bit so I can hang some kind of art around and above it. Anyway, this whiteboard I'm really excited about because I've really always loved the idea of being able to do one of those big, almost like crime map style storyboards on the wall. So that's a video that's in progress. I'm going to be putting up a whole storyboard for Project Amaranth and kind of mapping it backwards as I go through revision. So anyway, so I'm really looking forward to that. This first piece of furniture in the room, this is actually a bookshelf that my brother made me for Christmas a couple years ago, and he designed these shelves exactly to the right height for these journals, which is super cool. So here at the top, I got some fresh roses for you guys. We needed a little splash of color in here, and I thought, I just want to make it special for you guys. Got a little candle here, and then here I've just kind of set out a couple pieces of art that I really love. So this has also been with me since college. It's just a print version of the painting by Carol Fabricius, which is a lot of you will probably know that's the inspiration for Donna Tartt's third novel, which is also titled The Goldfinch. And then this is a print by, I want to say her name's Lorraine Pemberton, but my mom got this for me for Christmas a couple years ago, and the thing with paintings like this that's so fun is that you can kind of infuse them with your own significance. So in this painting, so there's kind of this younger girl who's gazing through the windows of this bookshelf, and she's kind of staring longingly. And I kind of imagine that to be my younger self as she's kind of like gazing into the book world and wishing she could be part of it and write her own stories someday. And then here's older me, who is a writer and has kind of been able to step into the bookish world. So these drawers are a little difficult to open because I haven't gotten my brother to install handles for them yet. For that reason, I haven't put a ton of stuff into here, but right over here, I've just got my little book stamp. This has been really fun. This was a gift from my sister, and it just says from the library of Olivia Cook. I've been slowly but steadily working through my library. This is a gift from a friend of mine, this little literary fan, very sophisticated. And then I have a tape measure for no reason that I really understand. And then this drawer I also kind of use, this is like these are some handles that I thrifted that I'd like to put on the bookshelf, and then I've just got a couple different like hooks and things that I've collected over the years, things that I'm planning to put up at some point in the future. And then down below here, this is where I keep all of my journals. So my very first journal, which is really tucked away back here, this little pink one, I think it started in October 2009. So that's when I started journaling at age 11. And then, yeah, I've just been journaling every single year since. I did end up transitioning out of these journals in 2022, and about that time I started transitioning over to these larger notebooks. So, and then of course, never can have enough notebooks. And then this quilt is actually from my mom. She made it when I was born and gave it to me a few years ago, and it's so, so pretty. I love these colors. And then this trunk my friend actually thrifted for me. And if you pop it open, this is kind of my storage for all of my camera equipment. So I have my kind of nicer Canon camera, and then I've got a couple different tripods that I keep in here. So next over here, we've got all of my bookshelves. I'm just so happy with this whole wall with the twinkly lights and the books and everything. It makes my soul so happy. Moving over to this first bookshelf, we'll kind of skim along the top, and then I'll kind of give you an in-depth overview of all the books. So with a few exceptions, pretty much all the decor on these shelves is either from Marshall's, Michael's, or it's been thrifted. That's definitely the case with all these decor items over here. We've just got this little Eiffel Tower because I am in love with France. And then we have a little world globe. And then candles, man, we just have so many candles in this room. This is my 2025 vision board, so you can kind of see the vibe that I'm hoping to kind of live into this year. This typewriter I think I got at a garage sale. It must have been like 10 years ago. I've had this thing for forever, and pretty much every single time I see this, I'm just reminded of Divine Rivals. And then moving over here, for some reason I just love this rose print on these mirrors. Pretty much anything that involves roses, I'm in, no questions asked. This was a gift from my sister-in-law. More Eiffel Tower. I don't even know what this is, to be honest. It just looks pretty. And then we have a tray with all of my crystals. These I've collected for years. My favorite one right now is this little blue one because I feel like this just encapsulates, this to me is the color of 2025. And then moving over here, we've got more candles, more flowers, and a couple more lamps just to add some cozy lighting. So let's kind of get down to the books because that's what we're all here for, right? So a couple quick notes on the bookshelves as a whole before we dive into the specifics is if you see little gaps between the books, that just means that there's either a book that I am lending out or reading myself, and so I like to keep the space open for where the book goes. And then kind of a second quick overview thing to say with all this is that this is not my complete book collection. As self-restrained as this looks, I actually have like a whole nother bookshelf in my living room of classics, of poetry, of children's fiction, and just a ton more stories. These are kind of all of my personal Hall of Fame books, so these are books that I personally really resonated with and really enjoyed. If you're looking for book recommendations, it's a pretty safe bet that anything on these shelves is a book that I would highly recommend. Let's start over in this corner. A lot of this stuff, this is all nonfiction. So we'll start up here. This is all like creative nonfiction, you could call it. So it's kind of like memoir, personal essay type stuff. So kind of a fun fact, Shauna Nyquist, who's one of my favorite nonfiction writers, she actually graduated from the same college that I went to. Bob Goff, love Bob Goff. Great guy. We've got some Rachel Hollis in here, Emily P. Freeman, and I also really love Susan Branch's books. These are all really, really fun. So that's kind of this shelf. And then moving down here, so all these books in this corner are kind of like faith specific, I guess you could call it. I pretty much love anything that the Rabbit Room is putting out, so I love Every Moment Holy. And then there's a lot of other good ones in here. Grown a lot from reading Sarah Bessie's books. And then what else do we have over here? This is kind of like Madame Chic, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, Essentialism, and Atomic Habits. So those are all nonfiction books I've really enjoyed. So this shelf is kind of a continuation of the nonfiction genre, and we've got a lot. These are all writing-specific books up here, and then it kind of transitions over to faith and art. Everything about being an artist is kind of on this shelf. I feel like I could do a whole video on this, but I'll kind of tilt it so you can see all these titles. So I feel like all these books are kind of a chronicle of my becoming as a writer, as a creative. And then moving up here, this is kind of where we start getting into literary fiction. So I've got all of Donna Tartt's books. These are actually out of order. Oh my gosh, this is not okay. But I've got all of Donna Tartt's books here. Demon Copperhead was a book I read last year and really enjoyed. And then The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, Anthony Doerr, Educated. I really, really loved this memoir. And then The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton, Where the Crawdads Sing, and The Book Thief. So these are all literary fiction books that I have just been astounded by and that still live rent-free in my head, as the kids say. So that's all kind of nonfiction and literary fiction, and then if we move on to this shelf, this is where it starts getting into the fun stuff. This is all, for the most part, this is all fantasy. Over here we've got Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I've read Shadow and Bone, and I've read a couple of her other pieces, and Six of Crows for me is the standout of her work. I liked it the best, and I don't know, I really admire her as a writer, but I don't really vibe well with the rest of her books personally. And then here we kind of have the writer that I have been most recently infatuated with, which is Rebecca Ross. We've got her young adult fantasy, Divine Rivals, and then her adult fantasy, which is A River Enchanted, and I just love these books so much. We've got Circe over here. These books are more literary fiction, and they should technically be on the other shelf, so I need to do something about that. But A Place for Us, incredible book. Love this so much. I'm actually going to reread this soon, I think. And then down here we've got, this is the Wingfeather Saga. Kind of grew up on these with my family. We read these books aloud, and they're just such good, like, classic fantasy. So love those books, and then his nonfiction books over here as well. Love this series, Wingfeather Saga. If you haven't read it yet, it's really good. It starts out kind of as a kid's book, but in the same way that Harry Potter does. It kind of grows with the characters. Those kind of bleed into the Harry Potter series, which I felt like kind of have a similar tone. I could see how the Wingfeather Saga was definitely influenced by Harry Potter. And then moving up to this shelf, this is starting with Maggie Stiefvater, who's another one of my favorite fantasy writers. The Scorpio Races is my all-time favorite by her, but I've also read The Raven Cycle. I Capture the Castle. That's such a classic. Ursula Le Guin, Lavinia, and then this is kind of where it starts bleeding into it's just C.S. Lewis, honestly. We've got Tolkien's translation of Beowulf, we have Seamus Heaney's translation of Beowulf, and then all the C.S. Lewis books. I'm currently reading the Screwtape Letters, which is why that one's gone. And then I've got a biography of Lewis that I'm actually going to read soon, and I'm really excited about. And then George MacDonald, this is George MacDonald's Fantastes. C.S. Lewis said that it baptized his imagination. So anyway, so classic C.S. Lewis corner. And then down here, this is where it starts getting into more traditional high fantasy. So, we start out strong with Tolkien. So we've got The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So if you're a high fantasy fan and haven't read this book, you have so much to look forward to. This book is incredible, and you could just completely get lost in it. And then similarly, the Name of the Wind series is absolutely incredible. Love these books. And then, so normally this little gap would be the Lost Queen trilogy by Signe Pike, but I pulled those out because I had just finished reading the trilogy and I wanted to do a review of them. So I enjoyed this okay. I'll probably move this out to the other bookshelf because it wasn't like an all-time favorite or anything. And then we've got Piranesi over here, which is also an incredible book. And then moving on to these books over here, this is kind of where all those books back there are just my to be read. So I'm kind of going to keep those tucked away. So once I read those, then I'll distribute out to either my Hall of Fame or to the bookshelf in the living room. So this bookshelf over here is kind of my last kind of foray into the fantasy realm, and then normally, speaking of giant gaps in the bookshelf, this is normally where Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy would go, but I'm lending those out to my sister, so I just have the first one right now. And then of course, Red Rising, I just read these over the winter and they're just incredible. Those ones are also lent out to my brothers. And then yes, I do own the ACOTAR books. I thought it was fun. I wouldn't consider it like my favorite book of all time, but I definitely enjoyed them. So at least the first 4. And I've steered clear of the 5th just because spice is not really my cup of tea personally. So that's that bookshelf. Back there is just all of my TBR books, which I will be slowly chipping away at this year. And these 2 suitcases down here are kind of I don't know what you call them, just boxes of sentimental stuff, memorabilia. This one is all of my mementos with my husband, all the different letters he's written me, pictures we've taken together. And then down here, this is kind of a similar thing, but just for my, I don't know, how like every girl has her box full of random stuff that she's just collected that means a lot to her over the years. So, and then kind of one last thing before we depart the bookshelves. This is my sword collection. So here we've got Sting, of course, and it's beautiful. It does have the Elvish written on it and everything, so that's pretty sick. And this dagger I found for $1 at a garage sale back in high school, I think it was. And so this dagger has always been kind of associated in my mind with Project Amaranth. And then lastly, my brothers got this for me a few years ago. I kind of call it my Prince Caspian sword because it sort of looks like his vibe. It looks very Narnian to me. So I have my Lord of the Rings sword and my Narnia sword. Anyway, and that is the extent of my sword collection so far. So kind of just a quick sort of side tangent as we're looking over all these bookshelves. When I was in high school, I went through this really minimalist phase where I had just read Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, and I kind of just started pitching everything that didn't spark joy in my life in terms of material possessions. I got rid of a lot of books. But one of the things I remember taking away from that book was basically her idea that you don't need to keep every single book that you've ever read. And I think until that point, I really did think that way. She kind of made the point about how wonderful it would be to have a book collection where every single book you own on the shelf is a book that has really resonated with you, that you've really enjoyed. And I loved that idea so much. So with all these books, especially the books on these shelves in this writing room, it's a kind of a cool idea to me that if anybody came in and looked at these bookshelves, they would know, here are the books that really stood out to me, and here are books that I would recommend to you, and books that I really resonated with for one reason or another. So obviously it's going to be different for every single person, so that's the fun of it, is like you get to shape your own bookshelves into kind of an expression of what you are interested in and what you love. So yeah, these books are all chosen because they really resonated with me, because I really love them, and it's not like an expression of every book I've ever read. It's just an expression of the books that have meant the most to me as a person. Anyway, that's kind of a side note before we keep going on with the rest of the room tour. Let's move on. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that this little reading nook is kind of my pride and joy right now. Every single morning I've been tucked away in this chair with my journal, with a book, with a cup of coffee, and it is my favorite thing on the planet. I love this chair so much. I thrifted this for $60, and I'm just so happy about it. This is a chair that is going to follow me for the rest of my life. And God willing, I'm going to be a grandma sitting in that chair someday. So that's my reading nook, and it's conveniently situated right next to a little lamp and some flowers, a little place where I can put my coffee and the book that I'm reading. If I'm being honest, this little book nook here is probably my favorite part of the entire room. So we can't move on without talking about this gorgeous rug. So you'll see from the room tour that it's significantly bigger because I did end up exchanging it for the 8-foot one. Anyway, this rug is from Ruggable, and it is Bridgerton Whistledown something. Anyway, I love this design, super cute, and I just love the way it brings the whole room together. And yes, I'm fully aware it's a little silly to have a rug on carpet, but in my dream world, someday I would love to redo this whole floor with hardwood floors, but you know, just one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Oh, I almost forgot, but we cannot move on without talking about this, which seems to be just a footrest, but no. If you flip it open, here is where I have actually this little trunk is where I keep all the different drafts of Project Amaranth over the years. This is the most recent one. This one was finished in May 2024. You know, got little sticky notes for all the different packet deadlines that I had in the MFA program, but underneath this is, dude, you can see there's like a hefty chunk of papers down here, and these are all just the different drafts of Project Amaranth over the last 10 years or so. And then just different story notebooks over here, different maps. I feel very happy about how clean this looks right now because it's been so chaotic over the years, and things have been in so many different notebooks that having it all kind of distilled down to this and what's on my laptop feels very satisfying. So anyway, so that's kind of the home of all my different manuscripts over the years. And then over here, why don't I have scissors here? So this coffee table here actually used to be in our living room, and we got a new one that matches the living room furniture better. So I just have this random coffee table hanging out in my writing room. And honestly, I really like it because it's nice to be able to have like a surface upon which to do things like crafty things, journaling, scrapbooking, that kind of thing. And even just like photos. It's nice to be able to have a flat surface to take photos on, but I don't know, it just doesn't quite fit the room, and it's kind of like in a really random corner. So I need ideas, guys. If you have any ideas on what to do instead of this, where I can put a table in this room that would not completely disrupt the flow of everything, let me know. Also, I found this at the beginning of the year, and I am in love, man. Like it sparkles, man. I feel like a cat when you like shine a laser light or something and it jumps after it, because this is like the most enamoring thing in the world to me. Like, look at how beautiful it sparkles. And then before we move on to the desk, I guess we'll just quickly cover, like, when I first moved in, there was this really ugly ceiling fan. Managed to swap it out for this chandelier that I got at Home Depot on clearance for $52. And then everything up here, curtain rod, blackout curtains, these are all from Amazon, and I'll link them. And then the lace curtains are from IKEA as well, and I'll link all that below. So right now the windows look out to kind of an ugly view of the street, and someday I would love to be able to plant like a cherry tree or something here to kind of like fill this whole view with flowers. That would be beautiful. I would love that so much. So I'm gonna work on the front yard so that there's more plants. I would rather look out at trees rather than just like a street and concrete and everything. So pretend that that is a beautiful view of cherry trees. And last but not least, we come to the get work done station of the room and my desk set up and all the paperwork and everything. So I'll kind of walk you through this whole layout where I get everything done. So starting over here with this shelf, I keep my diploma up here just to remind me that I've been places, that I can do stuff. So that's kind of my little nod to Pacific. And then my Westmont College was my undergrad school, and I keep this little mug here because I can. This little candle I was burning years ago and I just couldn't get rid of it because it looks like a Winnie the Pooh honey pot. Am I wrong? It's just so cute. And then next here I have my little collection of woodland animals. So these are all, ironically, these are all tied to friends of mine that I've just gotten over the years, and they've just been like my constant companions. This I got in England. If you guys know Alexa and you've seen her around on the internet, I got this with her, and we have like twin hedgehogs. This reminds me of my sister. We have matching ones as well. Got matching ones when we moved out of the room that we shared together. And then this is from some writer friends that I have in the MFA program who are amazing and I love them. And then this one by It's a Little Whale, and this is kind of a joke of one of my oldest, loveliest friends. That's kind of my little woodland collection of animals. They cheer me on every day. Family picture, and then my Polaroid camera. These are all the books that I have just finished reading and I need to review. And then of course this Tolkien biography, which was so good. I'm going to do a video essay on that soon. And then down here we've got a file cabinet and just some extra storage that I added. So we'll start up here. This is where I keep all of my, this is not pretty, but this is where I keep all of my hard drives, my disk drive, so I have one specifically for photos, I have one for videos, and then I have one that's kind of a storage of all the old videos that I make because making YouTube videos takes up a lot of storage. Shocking. The next drawer is all just kind of like sentimental stuff. This is all part of that storyboarding project that I'm working on, and then this is all just different notes from people and pictures I have with them and sentimental stuff. And then this is kind of the drawer where I keep all my notebooks that I need to have handy, kind of like action items, that kind of thing. And then for my file cabinet, this top drawer is also very, very much miscellaneous stuff. This is pretty much all my tech supplies. This is like lots of pouches of cords and backup office supplies and that kind of thing. And then down here we have my file cabinet. So this is kind of like stuff I need to get to often. This is kind of like Pacific University MFA stuff. This is all kind of writing related and then more like adulty tax stuff. So that's my file cabinet, which brings me over to my desk setup here. I don't know, man, but the florals, the mauves, the wood, the cohesiveness, the fact that my purse matches the desk, like, it brings me joy, man. So first things first, I keep my planner over here. This is my writing day book. Every time I have a writing day, I log it in here, write down the word count, what I worked on, any ideas or questions I have. Notebook that I just finished, and then another notebook. Man, I keep a lot of notebooks, okay? Don't judge. And then let me kind of like move all this up a bit. This drawer is for all of the tech stuff that I need to grab on a daily basis. So this is like my converter, all these different batteries that need to be charged, different converting cords, my editing hard drive, that kind of thing. It was a gift from my friend. It was the sweetest thing. Let's hope it's true. Laptop, of course, ergonomic keyboard, mouse, another notebook. And then here, my coffee, yay! And then this candle, which smells the way I want my 20s to feel. It smells just very like citrusy, grapefruit, just very, I don't even know how to describe it. And then up on this piece of art, I kind of started taping just quotes and pictures and random things that spoke to me. So this top one is a quote from Saint Theresa of Avila. And then I've got just this little inspirational quote here, some notes people have written me. Mary Oliver quote, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" A little note from my dad, a picture of my siblings, and then Philippians 4:8 is one of my favorite verses, so I wrote that and popped that up there. This drawer is for office supplies, so these pens are beautiful. I love them so much. I have all these different colored pens I use for journaling, I use for color coordinating my planner, all that good stuff. Notepads, sticky notes, colored pens, and then normal pens, pencils, that kind of thing. I also have tape, stapler, all that good stuff. That is that. Kind of one of the coolest room hacks that I've ever come up with is you can buy these little remotes on Amazon for maybe 15, 20 bucks. I'll link it down below. I literally hooked them up to all of my lights. So I could just turn them all off and back on again. Isn't that so clever? Even the twinkly lights, look. It just can kind of like connect to these little outlet things. Yeah, so the twinkly lights, all of my lamps, and this lamp as well are all on this remote. So I keep this over here in the corner so that when I'm coming in the room and I'm afraid of the dark, I could just, you know, turn on all the lights really quick. And then here are all the bags that I'll grab on the way out the door. So I have my trusty floral tote bag. This is my backup trusty floral tote bag. And then this is my trusty purse that I thrifted for maybe 10 bucks like 2 years ago and pretty much used every single day since. So that's that, friends. File cabinet was, I think, from Amazon. Desk is from Amazon, and I'll link that down below. I don't have a desk chair right now, and I don't really know how I've managed to get this far without getting one. So I dragged this chair in from our kitchen table, and that's what I've been using as my desk chair for now. But you know, you just gotta make do sometimes. That's just what you gotta do. Behold. Alright friends, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And you guys know the drill. If you did enjoy it, it would mean so much to me if you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more bookish, cozy content like this. And without any further ado, I will see all of you guys in the next video. Bye.